Hello Eric, here's my RV. I'm going to show you what I'm trying to do. Okay, there's my Xantrex, already hooked up, ready to go. And we'll go inside and I'll show you my current breaker box. Right there's my breaker box. And here's what I'm trying to do. Excuse my mess, project here. On this side of the RV, I've got this outlet here, and that outlet over there is powered by by a 15 amp breaker. And on this side is where I'm sitting, where I'll have my laptop where I sit and do my work and have a little mobile office set up. So I definitely need juice on this side, but I also need juice over here to power the TV, which is on a separate breaker. Combined, neither one of them will use very many watts. So that's not a problem. It's just a problem of trying to combine them both on one circuit. Okay, back to my breaker box. Okay, you can see down here, here's my breakers. Alright, this is one circuit right here to one side of the RV. Here's a wire to the other side, and we've got a 15 amp breaker and a 15 amp breaker, those two. So I just need to figure out a way. Of course, that's why I had my first thought of using two of the auto switches. I had the ideal jump out of the breaker, go through the auto switch, tie back into each wire here using two of them, and so that way each circuit would still fully be protected by the dedicated 15 amp breaker. I realized I could possibly tie these two together, but I don't know if it'd be, it's just, I don't think it'd be a wise thing to do. But if you can come up with a better solution for me, somehow, some way, or if you could explain to me why wouldn't using two of the auto transfer switches, why wouldn't that work, as long as I kept my wattage below 1,000 between the two, which I think I will. Anyway, hopefully we'll get started from there. Okay, I know this is a mess, but I'm trying to show you what I'm trying to attempt and get done. I think it's going to work. The situation is, I got one new Xantrex 1000 watt Prowatt inverter, but I wanted to power two separate circuits with it, which seems to be somewhat of a problem, but I think I've come up with a solution. Because inside my RV Winnebago 38J, I've got my TV circuit, which is on the right hand side of the RV, but then I've also got circuits on the left hand side that I want to power. So if I have my laptop over here on the couch on the boondocking, I can also turn around and watch a little TV at the same time and not have extension cords run all over the place like I do now. So anyways, in order to accomplish this, I've wired up, because I'll get all this cleaned up, I've wired up two Xantrex auto switchers. And to get an idea of how I've done this, I went into the breaker box, because this is all get cleaned up here in a later video, and I've tapped into the two breakers, the 15 amp breaker, one that powers the left hand side of the living room RV, of the circuits in the living room of the RV, and the other breaker for the right hand side. So I've got those wires, I've come out of that with these little pieces of extension cord, and I've got it going down here and feeding to the AC input. And I've done that twice. I've got two of them here, because each one's designed to handle only 15 amps, but I won't be pulling near that kind of amps at all, just with the laptop and TV. And then I've got the output right here going up and feeding my two separate circuits, because these are the wires that I've disconnected from the breaker, but they're still protected because it just passes right through and goes right back to the breaker. And to give you an example, right now, see the main breaker is completely off. Shore power is off, and right now I got that light running on the one side of the RV, and the TV is on the other side. And so I turn this off, or turn it back on, go back to AC, and you'll see if it even flickers or not. Maybe it flickered a little bit. Okay, but everything's still on. Now we're back on shore power. We're not on battery power. Alright, now if I want to go back to battery power, I'll see if it has a flicker with that. Let's get back here. Alright, now I'm going to turn off the shore power. We'll go back to Xantrex on both circuits. Alright, got a little flicker, but now we're on battery power. And both are still working. The TV is on battery power, the light's still working. So it's going to take a second for the TV to boot back up. There it goes. So I think this is going to work. I just need to clean up my wiring, get everything put away like I want it. I think I'm going to mount my switches back in this little cubby hole back here. So I got some more wiring to do, and I'll add it to this video and show you what it looks like when it's done. See ya. Okay, we're getting closer. About to wrap this up. Okay, now you can see the breaker box, and you see in here I pulled out the two Romex circuits, which was powering the different sides of the RV. I pulled them out, got them routed over here to the switches, and I've got my new wires coming in. Got my ground, my neutral, and my two hots going to the two different breakers, the two 15-amp breakers. And then you'll see right next door here is where I mounted everything. There's my two switches. And then I got my boxes where I'm making all my connections, where everything will stay nice and safe. And you can see my original, barely, maybe you can see them in there. Alright, here's one down here. And another up high. That's the original Romex that went into the breaker box. The 14 gauge. Got them coming out and going into the little junction box where I'm making all my connections. And you'll see here my two plug-ins. Now, the next step is to run two extension cords from the Xantrex under the floor up in here and plug this up, so that way it'll be powering. Okay, I've got it finished and it works just great. And let's go in here and show you what I got accomplished. Everything's much cleaner now. Turn on some lights. I just put in my 1000 watt inverter, and my problem was I had one inverter, but I wanted to power more than one circuit. So I installed the two automatic transfer relays in behind this panel, ran in here, tied into my original breakers, so everything's all safe and protected. And I'm going to show you how well it works. Okay, first of all, back here. You see the two big halogen lights I got burning. Okay. And I'll get up here, turn on my remote switch. Okay, now the inverter's turned on. Just waiting for the AC to go off. So right now the AC is on. I'm gonna kill the AC to the whole RV, and you'll see how the inverter will take over. Right, boom. Alright, so now the inverter's running, powering both sides of the RV. Let me be in the left and right hand side. And then we'll go down here and check the wattage. Okay. So we're pulling about 700 watts on my 1000 watt inverter. And you can see what I've done here. I've got two cords going from my inverter down through the RV up through the floor, tying into the transfer switches, and also going through the original breakers of the RV. So everything is protected. And another nice surprise I found out, this is a Winnebago 38J 2005 model. It also gives me power back here in the bedroom. It also powers my clock, and even powers the back TV back here. It also has power through the battery. So I was added plus and everything. So you know, do a recap. The reason I had to do it this way is the original inverter was located up here, which it only was like 300 watts. And you see the wire size this is the 12 volt source that was powering it. Very small. It can only handle about 300 watts AC. So that's why I had to relocate the inverter down closer to the batteries. so we could get all this to come together. And also, a reminder, when you do this, is you got to keep go with some very large cable. This is size O. This is welding cable, is what I use. That's how big this is. And be sure to protect it with a 150 amp fuse, because this cable, you know, runs out of the battery box, goes up through the frame, and right around the corner to the inverter. And don't forget your ground. Ground everything really good. But in case you ever had a short, you want to make sure that it's protected with your fuse. So maybe that'll help someone else someday. See ya.